pendant class. And in today's class, it's a really easy method to create this pendant. And it looks like it's a little more complicated than it actually is. Like a lot of our beading designs, they start out with, you know, a little bit of, finessing in the beginning. And then it's just like from there, just very smoothly finishes. And you can also modify this and make it your own. As with all beading projects, there's always ways to change it up, change the colors, change the counts and the sizes of the beads. So we'll talk about that kind of stuff. In today's class, I'm going to be using some size 11 seed beads, and I'm using the Toho metallics. So gold, silver, there's also a bronze. Those ones are really pretty in this design, and I'm using some 6mm round Czech crystal, and any color, just grab any color you want. And then you'll need some beading thread. And so I'll be using Wildfire. You can also use just like any kind of size D, something with some structure like a 0.006 or a 6 pound is going to be a really good choice for something like this, something that gives you something that'll hold your beading with a little bit of support, giving it a little bit of a skeleton, right? So something a little thicker would be good. Size 11 beading needle. And then we're going to be using a bail. So there's a bunch of different options for the bails. And what I'm holding up now, and I'll show you guys this on the mat in a minute, but there's two different ones here. This is sterling silver and 18 karat gold. There's a little mini bail that we're going to just stitch through just to attach the pendant, and then any chain clasp of your choice to finish it. All right, so I'll show you guys a little closer view of what I've got here. And let's see. I'm going to switch to my mat really quick. There we go. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so what I've got here is the materials that in the finished samples that I've done so far. And there is a PDF that you can download that has everything I'm about to show you in summary. So it can be kind of like your notes. The first step is a technique called single column herringbone stitch. So if you've done a herringbone stitch, you know that it's one where you pick up two beads and you go back down to the next bead and you just keep doing that and you add columns and sets of two. Well, if you work that with one column, you will get what looks like a little ribbon made with seed beads. And so this one I'm holding up is the counts completed for doing the 11-0 version that you see here. So that becomes that. And so it's really easy. You just tie it into a knot, and I'll show you all of that. So just to start, I'm going to show you creating this part really quick from the beginning. We'll get probably maybe about that far, and then we'll switch to this one to finish it. And then this one here is also 11-0. I used a different color crystal. I used the silver bail instead of the gold. And then this also is made with 11-0 Toho. This is the silver 11-0 Toho. So that's just another inspiration to show you what just changing the colors can do. And the last thing you see here on my mat is just another little inspo I was going to share at the end. And that is showing it with 8-0 seed beads. This might come in handy if for some reason it helps to see it a little bigger. We can show it a little bigger. This one is spec'd for a 10mm bead. So I've been playing with these counts for you guys so I can share some of the measurements. And what I've discovered also, because I used the Toho seed beads for this one, and on that one I was using Czech, the counts don't, they don't go one for one when you change sizes. So what really makes a difference is measuring the length, and that will help. So what we're going to create is 54 beads, basically 54 rows. 54 rows, in case you're using another size bead, what you're kind of going for is 3 3/4, roughly. So if you're using a different bead and your counts are a little different than mine, that's okay. Just go for 3 3/4, roughly, if you want this to work with a 6mm Czech crystal. Okay, so let's just dive in. Let's get some beads going here. And I'm gonna move that. So starting out with 11-0, I'm just gonna get those ready. You will want to cut about 60 inches of beading thread. And so the herringbone stitch is a little bit thread hungry. It uses for every row, you're going to go through it twice. So it kind of consider that it loops around and around. So it does use a little bit of thread. So the whole like 60 inches will give you what you need to both weave in, add the crystals, add the bail, and create the ribbon. And I'm just going to grab some chain nose pliers really quick, just to flatten the end of my Wildfire. That makes it easier to get your needle threaded. And here's my beading needle. Again, this is a size 11 that I'm using right now. Okay, so fold down just a little bit of it, maybe like that much. I think that's probably about 10 inches there. And then just fold it over. All right, so start with 4 beads, and let me quickly show you what we're doing in a little bit easier to see way. So you're going to start with 4 beads, loop through them, and then we'll start by adding 2 more and looping through both of the base. The base is just starts with 4, and then each subsequent one will have 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. So starting with 4. Got 4 seed beads there. Leave about a 7 to 10 inch tail. And then when you've got those 4 beads on, come back up through the first 2 beads that we just strung. So just through those. And then just pull tight. And so you'll get this little square. And I tend to hold it in my fingers just kind of like that, where the side that's exiting is on my left. If you're left-handed, maybe it's more comfortable to hold it the other way. But now I've got 2 more seed beads. And I'm going to go back down through those 2 right there. And what they'll do is they'll just do this little pop thing. See how they're kind of sitting a little bit side by side like that? Come up through all 3 beads now on the left side. Just like that. And you'll get your first herringbone stitch row. I'm going to do that again, but this time, just going to go through the last 2 beads that I added. And this is the step you'll repeat for the whole length. So here's 2 more. And in this case, I'm just going down through that first bead right there. Pull that tight. And then come up through those last 2 beads. So there's a total of 4 beads. And the length you want to go to is 54 beads if you're doing the same counts that I'm doing. And you're using the Toho. And now if you're using another bead like I was showing in the beginning, you want to just aim for a ribbon that is going to be approximately 3 3/4. So you see how we're just adding 2 beads at a time, just trying to get this length to go up. So just like this. And 2 more. We'll just do a few more of these just so you can get the hang of seeing it. And the cool thing is every time you add a new row, and each of the times we add these 2 beads is what I'm calling a row. And this is just one column here. So column, and each of these is a row. You can tighten it by pulling on the tail. And I kind of do that periodically throughout as I'm stitching. And here we go. So keep going like that. Does anyone have any questions about single column herringbone? If everyone feels good about this, I can move on and show you the next steps, or we can work on this a little longer. We've got a few more minutes to do that and still be within my estimates.
Hey, Danielle, it's Carmi. I think you are good to go on.
Okay. All right. And so just to show you one more time what I've got going here. It takes a little bit of time to get there, but you want to just keep going until you've got, again, 54 rows or about 3 3/4. Okay, so I've already got a needle on this one. We'll do this part a few times because this one is the bulk of the method here. So once you've got this going, we're going to tie it into what's basically just a knot, right? And what I've got here is the ribbon laying flat, and I just bring it up and over itself, right? Just like that. And it's next step is we're going to bring this part under and up through this loop. So under and up through this loop. And when you do that, you might want to bring your thread along with you. Okay. And then bring that over this part to meet this top part right here. And then all we'll do is connect these two. So let's do that again. And I can also show it with the larger piece. It's a little easier to see. And again, what we're doing essentially is we're just tying a knot. So it's just one side going over the other side like that. So far you just made a ribbon, like kind of crossing like, you know, those little pinned ribbons. And then holding this top part, you want to bring this around the back and up through the loop like that. And then just bring these two to meet, just like that. And you just basically get a knot. Essentially all we really did, guys, is we just made a knot. We tied it in a knot. The only reason I showed it in that more exaggerated way is we kind of want to make sure that we're keeping this end and that end in plane with each other so they're not twisted. What I mean by twisted is we don't want to do that. You want to keep it going like that. And you'll know if you twisted it because it won't form this nice little ring when you start to stretch it out. See, kind of like that. And so it's hard to show in the moment. I'm going to go back to this one here. But once you have that connected, it will be easier for me to show the next step. When it's loose, it's a little harder. But again, we're just going to lay this piece, pick this up, and cross it over itself. So just like that. And then just bring this side behind and up through the loop. And then again, you might want to help your thread come through. And then just join these two together. All right. And so I'm going to just hold it like this. You see how I'm just kind of holding them together? And I'm going to find the side that has my needle and then just take a quick look at it, make sure it's connecting, and it can actually help to just hold them like that for a second. We're going to join these by going through, and let me show you just really quick in the handout. We're going to loop through them like that. So just picture those two ends meeting, and we're just going to join them. And we're joining basically the start to the finish. So right here, what you see, so I'm just going to go through this bead right here. And pull tight. And then come up through the adjacent bead in the row. So right there. And so right now it's loose, but roughly we have joined these two here. We've joined those two beads. And still holding it, and then your tail is going to get in your way, but we can use that tail later to strengthen this connection, so it's good to have it. From here, I'm going to go through the one bead we haven't used yet. So you see how here it's exiting out one side, and then it went right across and through the other one, and then we looped up and we went through this one right here. Now we're just going to carry on through this next bead right here. And there's our join. So you see these two have connected now. And I'm going to reinforce that. I'm going to go down through the next row. So let's see if I can just get through it. And my stitching is nice and tight, so it's going to take me a minute. I also want to say, if you get down through more, see, I accidentally went through two, that's okay. You just want to reinforce this join here. So turn, come back through these beads here. Just with the goal of connecting it a little more. And I went really far. That's okay too. In the drawing, I showed it just going through 2 and then 4, but really the goal is just to strengthen, and eventually it'll disappear and you won't be able to tell where you joined it. Okay. So you see, where was our join? You can't even tell. We just looped around and we reinforced it and made it look good. Okay, so now we have something that looks like this. And that's good. It just needs to be adjusted. So let's get our beads out. And this is where your beads will help you create the pendant. Here's these 3. And just drop them in. There's 1 and 2. And then here's number 3. So now it's all taking shape. It's not perfect yet. One thing I'll say about this is when we do the reinforcing steps, all of these little imperfections, they even out because we fill up the bead with thread. So far, so good. I'm just going to hold it closer so you can see. This is much easier done on a mat. Just like that. So all we have left to do now is weave around and connect those beads in the positions where we want them to stay. So I'm going to do that really quick. And they're not going to stay put very easily, but what I'm going to do here is take a look at where my thread is, get it into the position right now that I like, and then the other beads are going to drop, but I'm just going to keep this bead in place. And without moving it, because you want to kind of keep in mind where it is. The first one is also, I want to say, really forgiving, because you can still adjust the flow of this after you've done the first bead. It's really only after the second bead that it makes a huge difference, right? So let's just go through the crystal. And then what you want to do is skip 3, 4, 5 beads and come up through that 5th bead over there. And I'll bring the handout over in just a second, show you a little easier to see in the illustration, I feel like. And you can do the 5th or 6th bead. It kind of depends which you think looks better. So here's the handout really quick. And see, I've skipped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beads. Here, you could actually come out of the 6th bead and go back up through the other bead. It just makes a difference for how your bead will sit. So I'm going to just take that out really quick and show you one other method. Because it is really forgiving. There we go. I'm just taking my needle off, guys. It's the easiest way. So one more time, I'm going to show that. So from here, exiting out of that bead right there, I'm just crossing over, and you can skip 5 or 6 beads. And in the handout, it looks like I did 6. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beads. And so when you do that, you have a little more space around the bead. So my recommendation is play with it and see what you like. There's a little bit of variation with seed beads. You could even increase that by 1 or decrease it. The goal is not to have a ton of space here. Don't worry about what's down here for now, but just take a look at it and try to make sure that this part is really snugly hugging your bead. And so whatever bead you need to exit out of and go through to make that tightest is the great one to go through. And once you feel like you've got it where you want it, make a turn. Do you see how I'm coming up through this bead right here? I'm going to make a turn. Go down through the other one. So just like that. And then it'll probably be easier to do this from the other side now. So flip it and then go through the bead again. All right. And then it'll really start to lock in and look really good. Once you've got that done, I mean, you can just take a look at where your thread is located right now. See how it's comfortably crossing between those 2 beads? So based on that, I'm going to go through this bead right here and finish that connection. So what we did is we locked it in on both sides. So we came out of one bead on one side, went through the crystal, and then went through a bead. And then did a turn and came back through. See, it's going out of that bead into the adjacent. It's doing that and going through. And that's what we did. And then when we got over here, we went back up. So now we just got to weave around. And this is where we're going to need to bring those other crystals back in just a minute. So I'm going to just keep going. And it takes a minute. So I'm just going to keep going through a few beads. Just avoiding that tail there. And what I'm doing right now is just aiming to get generally over to the spot kind of sort of where the next bead's going to go. Again, we're going to have to put it flat and then pop the next 2 beads in just to get the position figured out. Okay. So I'm just flattening it on the mat right about there. Okay, so I want to aim for, let's turn my whole orientation to be like that. Okay, so go ahead and just pinch this one here. Roughly right about there. And keep going through some beads. Looks like I have a little ways to go. At least 3 more, I think. Okay. And I'm holding both the bead and the ribbon. Let's get through. Okay, so now I've gone through the crystal. One last little double check before I stitch it in. And I still feel like that's a good spot for it. If it's not, just go ahead and take the bead off and then go through another bead or back out of a bead, just kind of getting it right where you want it. And it'll probably be a little different every time you make the pendant. I tried counting it out and I got 2 different counts because seed beads have just little bits of variation and it adds up at over 54 beads. So it's only off by 1 or 2. It usually ends up being that you want to skip about 4 or 5. So let's just look at this, see where it's lining up. And I think this is the right one to go through right here. So I'm trying to just get through one bead. There you go. One more test just to make sure it's good. Yep, so far so good. All right, so through this bead, what I want to do is just make a turn through the adjacent one. So see, I'm coming out of this bead right here. And I just turned through the one that's right next to it to go down. And now through my crystal from this side. Right. Once again, I'm just going to lay it flat and then just take a look at where does my thread want to go. Right about there. You can also flip it over and look at which one you're adjacent to. That's another way to do it. It is super tricky to get through those tight ribbon beads, but it works. Okay, so again, same thing. I'm just going to travel now. I'm just traveling around. And this step is beautifying the ribbon. See how it's making everything just kind of pop into place a little bit better. All right, so I'm making a guess now, just really quick. Right about there. Get the bead, and I'm going to try to make its whole orientation going the way I want it to. Pop it in there, and then just take a look. And so it looks pretty good to me. I think this is the right spot here. So I'm just going to stitch through that same path. Try to hold my bead. Okay, so I'm exiting out of that bead. I'm going to go through the crystal and just look at it with your needle even and see that I think I want to go through the bead it's touching there. So I'm going to go through that one. Before I carry on, just one last little look. Good. Okay. And then just going right up through the neighbor bead there. Back through the crystal. Flip across there. And then just take a quick look and see, it's going to be this one here. All right, so we've got the pendant mostly made, mostly ready to go. Here's the original. All we have left to do is put on the bail. And to get the bail put on, the best way to do that is to just go ahead and find a center point above any of the crystals that you want. I'm kind of already there with this one, or I could use the tail. I think it just matters of whatever looks good to you, and it's kind of all the same. And so in the case of how many passes, I just saw that question pop up. It's a good question. I only passed through the crystal one time this way and one time back. So it's just 2 passes through each one. And then the rest of what I've been doing is just traveling through the ribbon to get to exit from the spot where it kind of worked for putting the crystal. And it's best just to feel that out in the way I was showing, just putting it on your mat and just putting those crystals in there and just feeling it out. And the tightness of the counts works really well with 6mm beads and a ribbon that's about 3 3/4. That's what I found for 6mm. It worked out pretty good, but it is different for different count for different seed beads. So that's why the counts are less important than just maybe getting the concept right. Because this way you can do it for any beads you want. You can kind of play with that and see. And that the way that I got here, I just want to explain one thing really quick. It didn't happen instantly. I made one that was longer and I got all the way to this spot and realized, that didn't really work because there's too much space, right? I finished it anyway, just because I wanted to see it done, but this was my prototype. And this is how I got to the counts that I did and the measurement that I did. This one was almost like 4 and a little over 4 inches or so of length in ribbon. But you can see that like a little over 4 inches might give you what you need to do an 8mm bead. And I do wish I'd measured this before I cinched it up, but it was about that. But another thing you can do, and this is how I'd recommend feeling it out for other size seed beads and beads, is create that ribbon and then do the bead ribbon needs to be for this 3 3/4. And that's for a 6mm bead using these 11 O's. I did try this measurement with an 8O bead, and it was just a little hard to get it to knot. So, because the 8Os are so big, getting them to knot at the 3 3/4 length, it was doable, but sporty, right? Because you really gotta fold it, and it's less flexible, right? But try it. It's not impossible. It's just a little trickier. I felt like it was maybe too tricky for me to do on a live, but it's possible. And again, this count here, it's too big for these beads, but would it work for 8mm? Sure. So a little over 4 inches if you like that. Any more questions on this length and stuff? Oh, and I was also going to share, I almost forgot to share this. So you can do you can complete this step to test it. Put the beads in, see if you like it. But when you exit from this bead here, just leave everything in place. If you don't like it, after you've done this step, you feel like you need to take away beads or add beads, you can pull this apart. Take your needle off and then just put your thumbnails on each side of the bead and you could just pull them apart. And you can, at that point, add or remove beads. And it's really, really easy to add or remove beads. Like, for example, if I felt like this needed less, you put your thumb and you just pull it off, right? Or you can put them back if you want. Very easy to destruct and very easy to add. So play with it. And that little join is not permanent until you start weaving around. So you can test this for any beads and it should work. And that's your little knot pattern there. So the next thing, that's the only thing left to do really, is just add a pretty little bail. And so you can put it anywhere you want with the goal of straddling 3 beads with 4 beads. And we'll put the bail on right in the middle. It kind of hangs just right in the center of those. And again, these counts are also completely negotiable. Like, you don't want them to be 4 or 3. You can change that and make it look however you want. Just depends on what you think looks good, right? There's no rules to how to create it. Let's go ahead and put on the bail for this one so that I can show start to finish. And then we're going to have like a lot of time at the end. We can maybe demo some of the other sizing and play around with that. So I'm going to get a bail. I'm ready to go there. And these bails are already closed from right out of the package. So you can just use them right like that. And I'm going to take a look at my pendant. And what I might do first is, let's see, I'm going to grab one more needle just really quick, and I'm going to get my tail woven in. So let's weave in the tail, then we won't have anything blocking us. And so to do weaving in, super easy. You're just going to go around and change direction a few times. So I'm just going to take this string here, figure out which side I'm exiting from, which is about there. Okay, so let's keep going through this side. There. I'm just going through a few more beads. Maybe do a turn here. And if you want, you can do more passes through your crystals. That's totally okay to do. I'm just going to do one more and then we'll trim this side. All right. Let's find scissors. You can use the thread burner here if you like, or you can use scissors by putting a little tension on it and trimming it. Okay. Oop. So now we got that all figured out and we don't have a tail blocking us anymore. And the way that the bail is added is it's just added to one either the front or the back of the column. So it looks like my thread is coming out of this bead right here. And if I wanted to, I could skip the next three and then join the bail right there. Let's see if that would be centered or not. So that would be these three beads right here. Seems mostly centered to me, actually. It's kind of serendipitous it ended up like that. Usually I have to weave around a little to get to a spot that I feel is good, but that kind of looks good. So I'm going to go with it. Well, first I'm going to pick up two beads and string the bail on. It'll probably move around on you, but ideally you'll get it to sit kind of in the middle of those two. So just like that, two more beads. There's those. Okay, coming back to the piece. I'm going to skip the next three. And go back through them. So I skipped three and then went back through the three. So just like that. And we'll reinforce this probably 2 times at least or more. Your bail should just kind of hang out right there. You can help it sit centered. It'll probably move on you even after you do all the weaving in. It wiggles just a little, and that's okay. All right, so from here, I'm just going to go back through those beads again. The ones that are in our bail.
Danielle,
Yeah.
while you're doing this part, Marguerite wanted to know if you had any desire to tack where the ribbon is crossing over. Does it need it, or?
You know what, you could. And I experimented with that a little bit. But what I found is that I liked being able to adjust it. But yeah, you could. I mean, if you wanted to. It's only tricky because you'd have to really, really want it to stay put where you put it, and it does. Okay, so like the ribbon has this like a flow to it, like a bend. See how it's just kind of like going around and bending, and when you tack it, it's going to encourage one of those columns to kind of do a little sharp bend in one
Right.
position. So you might get a little bit of triangulation, if that makes any sense, but it's going to be subtle. And if you didn't pull too tight, I think it would work fine. I just wasn't brave enough to do it.
Thanks, Danielle.
Sure. And so let's see, I'm back through those 3 beads there. I'm going to reinforce it one more time, guys. Just go through it one more time. That's kind of an important connection there, so I just want to make sure it's nice and strong. All right, so let's just weave in. So all we got to do now is just go in through a bunch of beads. And this is also your chance to make everything kind of perfect. And like what Marguerite said about tacking, in case anyone was wondering, like where you would do that, you would from where, like, for example, where my thread's exiting right now from, you can't really see it, but it's like, see how it's like right there? If you were 100% sure you liked that positioning where it is now, you could jump out from that bead and go through the one in the other row. Let me see if I can get that to focus. There we go. So like from here, you could go through here and join them, or even just kind of hug it by going in between and grabbing that thread bridge. One of the other ways that would work. I didn't do that on mine. And it does wiggle a little bit. You can fidget with it just a little, but once you go and weave in around a bunch of times, it just gets tight enough that it holds its position anyway. And I have a bunch of thread left. And what I did do on this one, just you notice how this one right here, you see how it's really solid. I took all of my leftover thread and I just made trips around, just a bunch of trips. And then I changed direction 3 times and trimmed it. It would take a little time to show that, but in summary, all it is just going in a little journey through the beads, and that's it. So just taking a look at where I am here. And just keep going. And I know I came from the bail, right? So if I make my way all the way back to the bail, turn, and then go through it all again, make my way all the way back to the bail, I'll have covered both sides of the herringbone. It'll take you as long to do that as it took you to make the ribbon, but it's still, I would recommend doing it. It's still worth it. So, just traveling all around, make a turn, come back, go all the way around, and then you've done your weaving in and it's added a little bonus and you've got your pendant all set. It's going to help that go back over. There we go. So then all you have to do from there is just get yourself a chain. I have some chain here. I didn't put chain in the handout because there's just so many options. But grab something like this or like that. There's even really pretty paperclip chain will fit. And then just get some clasps and a jump ring and put an end on it. The chain that I was holding here, this one, which is this bead landing one, and it is 10, let's see, it's 10696 986, and that one is the one that you're seeing here. It's a really delicate, very fine chain, and you will need to use the small jump rings to get through it. So these are those tiny little jump rings there. Yeah, so if you like that, that's a really good one to do. And let's see what else I can show you guys. There is this one. I saw a question pop up earlier about the length of this. So let me measure it for you. And truth be told, I didn't actually do the measuring till after. I played with the fit first. And then I did the beads. And then once I was happy with that, coming back and seeing. So this is 5 3/4. And the reason I ended up there was it was a nice balance between being able to fold it up, and that ended up kind of working out really nicely with a 10mm bead. So I just kind of went around. So crossing it just like a ribbon, like we did before. Sorry, getting a hold on it. Okay, crossing it just like a ribbon, like that. And then just bringing that end up and through, just like that. And then just bringing that over to meet. So super, super easy. And once you've got that meeting, you can join them together. And I don't have a needle on this one currently, but I'll just kind of try to show you how it looks. Those beads in it. I just tested it like that. And it worked out really nicely. So does anyone have any more questions for me on, and it tightens up a lot once you link those two together. On this or any other ideas that you want to share? Yeah, and Cindy was saying, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I think you're great for timing right now. Somebody was thinking out of the box already and wondering if they can turn it into a ring.
Oh yeah, it absolutely could become a ring.
There's definitely somewhere to go with this, and I'm going to thank you because, as you know, at the beginning of the class, I didn't think I would be able to do this, And now that you've explained it so well, it totally makes sense. And everyone in the sidebar is just saying like it's very elegant. It looks like fine jewelry, in the words of one of our classmates today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I felt like it did. That's kind of what I was going for. Something that does look a little bit like fine jewelry. So that's an awesome compliment. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah, it has that feeling too when you're wearing it.
And Danielle, it's not so big that it couldn't be that you could make two and wear them as earrings.
Oh yeah, they would be beautiful as earrings. A great size for that. Yeah, and that idea for the ring, that's a neat idea. I mean, that would go back to what Marguerite said about tacking it. You could just do a second ribbon and have that ribbon go around and then just tack it here to your top of your ring. Just really gently. And that would be a cool ring. It'd be about that big.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's neat. That's so cool. Yeah,
Um,
well,
and and Danielle, quite a few people are already thinking about connecting them on one necklace so that you have three.
yes, you could. Yes, you could absolutely do that. I think there'd be a couple of ways to do it too. You could make these little loops that we did for the bail and just join those with a jump ring. That would probably be the super easiest way. Even like sew through a closed jump ring with both sides. But as you know, herringbone can be joined just by stitching out of one column going to the next. So you could join them like that. They would kind of go offset from each other. I feel like they'd go. And then the other one would be kind of like, let me see if I can get this one to go. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. What do you think? Kind of works. If you joined them like that, and then the necklace came up here, that could kind of work.
Yes.
Yeah, that would work awesome. That would be really cool. Well, now I need to try that. Hey, if somebody does that, please tag us. I want to see. That would take you a little bit of time, but not too much. You know, we've already made 4 right here, so yeah, well,
That's
that's
great,
neat.
Danielle. So your timing is awesome today. So we did get a question of when is our next class,
Yes, yeah, yeah. Let me
um,
show that.
because we do have a small break coming up because we're traveling.
We are, yeah. But it is a really great 2-part class that's coming up. So there's one version. The other one, we just grab that really quick. And here's the other version. So it's a 2-part class in that we're going to create the base, just this part right here, in kind of a little refresher class, part 1, which is we'll do a refresher on both looming and square stitch. So we'll demo both, just like a little quick recap for everybody. And then you can pick the method you like most, make a nice base, and then come back for part 2 and we'll demo how to do these cool stitches. So there's a beginner friendly, just, you know, straight across embellishment. And then there's a little bit more advanced, not too hard, but a little bit more advanced just because of the corners to do these little like cross spirals. And that came out really nice. I loved how this looked. And so that's the next class we have coming up. And then I've got some surprises in the works that I'll be showing you guys for the classes that we have coming up after those. And here's the handout for this one too, if you want to see what that looks like. That one is already on the website, so you can already go and download it if you wanted to take a quick look and see how that was made. Yeah, and so, oh, and then I do have one more class to show. Oh my goodness, how could I forget that? This one. So we're gonna do some packaging. And the packaging class is kind of a little bit of crystal embellishment. So gluing crystals. And then I used some stickers that I found at Michael's in the, there's a whole like aisle of stickers. Well, I went down that aisle and I grabbed a bunch of these. And then I got a bunch of the bead landing flat packs, which are, let me show you those really quick. You get loads of them, so they go a long way. And I did a bunch of different colors. And in the handout, this is already on the website too, I believe. You can download and see every color I used. I included all that. I also tried doing some cutouts. So these are ones that I actually glued on, and that this is the flower sticker. So these are actually stickers, and some of these are actually just paper cutouts. And either way, you can make it work and make it look cool. And they have a bunch of different ones. There's a whole bag of like lotuses that you can do. These boxes that I've used are in the jewelry section. So the jewelry section has 3 different sizes. This one you'll find it online called ring. And this one you'll find called bracelet. Or sorry, this one is called necklace. And this one is called bracelet. But I put the part numbers for all 3 in the handout. So you'll just need, your creativity basically. This one is sky's the limit. You can do anything you want for this class. It's going to be very, very fun. I mean, I even tried to make little animals. It's supposed to be an owl. I'm not sure if everyone sees an owl, but that's what I was going for. And then of course I love this little hummingbird. All these came out so fun. So that will be perfect. April and May flowers, right? Yeah, and then the next one I'm working on coming up soon. I just need to get it all finished up and typed up, and it'll be ready to go. Anyone have questions about this class or any others? This one is it's after the embellishment class, so it's like the end of April, sort of. So pretty. I love the way that came out. And I can kind of see doing a green one, opening up that green one and having this beautiful, let's see, like this one pop out of there. That'll be cool. Actually, I like the flower too. So you're ready for gifting.
Danielle, I think I'm going to ask you the last question for the class.
Sure.
What length did you make your necklace?
Oh, yeah. Let me measure that really quick. I just kind of put it on. So I do that sometimes.
Me too. I never follow instructions, but it's nice to see you did a longer chain.
I did. I wanted kind of a pendant length. So it looks like I went for about 20 inches or so. So I probably cut about 9.5 with the clasp and everything. It ends up being, I was aiming for about 21, your standard 21. And it's just a little shy of that. Oops. Looks like my camera went there. Oh. Sorry about that, guys. I think I've lost my camera. Let me switch back to me.
That's okay. Danielle, we see you, so that's okay.
Okay, sorry about that. I think my camera just left the Zoom, and is but we're here. We made it to the end, so I was gonna switch to say goodbye anyway. So sorry about that, guys. But yeah, so this class coming up, and of course this one coming up, the embellished bracelets. So I hope to see you for that. And if you have any questions about today's class, or you just want to share what you made, please tag us. So the best way to reach us on social media is to hashtag John Bead, or and also hashtag Make It with Michaels. And then we have a Facebook group. It's PDFs and projects from John Bead on Facebook, and we cheer each other on in that group and share all of our work. And we also post the replay there. PDFs are there. So if you are watching this on replay and you're looking for that PDF, you can come over to the blog and find it there. And yeah, and until then, I'll see you guys at our next class. I want to wish you happy beading and a great weekend.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.